Hello there, I'm Stuart Goldsmith, and today I'm going to be talking to comedian, poet, novelist, and actor Shaun Hughes. And remember, if you'd like to hear our full conversation, you can download the audio podcast from comedianscomedian.com. Here's Shaun Hughes. So with the show that you brought up, your first, or not your first hour, but the hour that won the award.
Sponsored by Budweiser, I believe.
So that had that been a show that you had kind of waited for? Well, had you waited for the stuff to come for you, or had you kind of written to
I tell you exactly
what
happened. I wanted to. I was really frustrated on the circuit. I've never liked club comedy. It just doesn't really suit me. And I got into a situation with the clubs I really liked. I said, can I start doing 40-minute sets? Because I feel I could express myself better. Because I like to just mosey on in rather than going, bang, here we go. And they say, yeah. And then they go, well, and they say, well, don't tell anyone else you went well because you don't want anyone else asking for 40-minute sets. And I went, well, I think this could be the way forward. And they weren't having it. And this sounds like bullshit, but I said, no, I'm going to write this show. I'm going to write a one-man show with a theme and a narrative and like story, and which hadn't been done in the festival before.
Okay.
Now I started all that shit. Unbelievable.
Really?
Yeah. Like I'm not the first person to have to tell a story. Don't get me wrong. Sure. It sounds arrogant, but that wasn't unheard
in terms of like an hour of comedy. So people were doing hours, but they were just their club set hours.
Yeah, pretty much. Okay. And I just wanted to do it because I really wanted to just abstract comedy. And I quite literally said, if this doesn't work, and it wasn't if it doesn't win the award, I said, if it doesn't work, because like the day before I went to Edinburgh that year, I did the show at the East Dulwich Tavern, which is a pub, so it was quite hard work, but it fucking died on its ass. And I was getting the train the next day to do the show, and that's the one, as I say, that won the award. But it was, but if that hadn't worked, I probably would have quit comedy because I just couldn't bear the idea of going back and doing the Comedy Store and jonglers and stuff. It just didn't suit me. It wasn't what it was about.
How does that feel to have pioneered that form of doing something new with comedy? And then, I mean, presumably you've been to a lot of festivals since then, so you've seen people take that and take in all sorts of different directions.
But like as I say, I think I was just a little notch in that. But like I'm very happy. But what people tend to do now is some people doesn't suit a narrative, so they feel like everyone has to have a name of a show, which is ridiculous. Sure. It shouldn't be the case. It should be just play to your own strengths. And some people are really good. But like the thing about the Edinburgh Festival, it is an amazing festival, but people have lost sight of what it's about. And it is about, the reason it's on for a month is not in the hope that every television producer will come to your show because it's on 28 times. It's because you get 28 goes to make a show better every night. And like my show from the Wednesday we started on the 29th to tonight, it's the same show, but it's so much better. Weirdly, Alexei Sayle, who's doing his stuff again, he did an expression in his show, which is like one of the best expressions I've ever heard in my life. And he talks about how he shouldn't have came back because he's diluting the legacy.
Yes.
And it's become one of my favourite phrases. And it's just an amazing phrase. Because
I think he says in the show that his wife, he puts that in the mouth of his wife and says that she's telling him not to risk doing that.
That should be up there with quotes of quotes because as we get older, all we are doing is diluting the legacy. And not comics, just everyone in this room, because, you start, whatever you do, like, because the aging process, even when you're playing football and you are a great footballer and you play football in the park, you're diluting the legacy.
Sure, okay.
And everything you do, in a sense, is diluting the legacy. So that just keeps on popping into my head all the time. And, you wonder if you're diluting your own legacy, really.
You mentioned sadness there, Ben. You said it was a sadness that the stage was the only place you felt happy. Do you think that sadness or some element of melancholy kind of permeates your work, even though it's funny?
I don't think so, but I don't think like that. I just get on with it.
Okay.
But it's...
the reason I'm proposing it is I saw your show on a night when, I think the previous night I'd seen Jason Byrne's show.
Right.
And obviously his show is just lunatic frenzy of energy and improvisation and joy. And I thought to myself, I think what I'm seeing here is like a happy man being happy. Yeah. Separate to the funnies involved, separate to the laughs. And I wondered if, when I was seeing yours, I don't mean this to sound like a criticism.
A sad man being sad.
Well, it was a melancholy show. There was a story. There was a story in your show about being picked up by a pervert in a car on the way home. Went.
Yeah, but I like. It's the thing of it's an Irish thing. We're not frightened to show our emotions, which British people do seem to be scared of that much more than us. And I don't see it as sadness at all. I'm very content, and but what I'm probably doing is because the last show I did last year was about my father dying, which again melancholic subject, but a very uplifting show.
Mm-hmm.
And this show, that made me more evocative of my childhood. So I think what I'm trying to do is help people make sense of their lives by talking about bad things that happen in your childhood. But it's not a sad show in the slightest.
No. I mean, I wasn't crying during it. But I think what I'm trying to say
Thanks.
is that lowest bit of the legacy. I think what I'm trying to say is that that's it. It had the sense of you wrestling with something. You were. A lot of it was about the bad advice given to you by parents and teachers and priests, and I just wondered whether there was something in that show whereby you say it and you get it out through comedy, and then you don't need to think about it anymore.
No, it's not therapy.
Okay.
In the slightest, but no, I just think, but then I haven't done a good job with you in the audience, because it is to try and make you feel better about yourself, because bad things happen to us all. And I think, you can only kind of write about what you know as well. But as I say, the main thing in that show is to let you know that it's okay if things don't go great for you. It doesn't make you... And it's all about being together, because it's quite abstract in the show where the old pub joke, a character from a joke comes into my life and things like that. But it's... but that's like some of the reviews have been saying it's a really intense show, and it's not in the slightest. It's really mentally and physically kind of exhausting for me, because it really takes that, and it's a real powerhouse of a performance. It's very energetic, but it's but there's no sadness there whatsoever. And the thing is, I use children's clothes to show emotion, but the hardship of when romance breaks up. But that's to make people again feel better about it. Because we've all been in broken relationships.
Sure, but even though the outcome is that we feel better, the means that you're using, it's kind of, do you not think that's poignant when you've got children's clothes on a rack and you're talking? It's funny, because you're talking about, there's this girl and I fancy this girl and this is me and that's the other guy. But it is kind of poignant. Do you not think?
Well, poignant, yeah, but I wouldn't say sad. I think it's like, but see, this is the other thing I do in the stand-up set at the moment is it's weird how. We pretty much an audience gathers together as a community, and that's what you are for the moment. And we always do that to laugh, and I don't understand why people don't do that to cry, some more, because comedy is so close to kind of laughing is so close to crying. It's unbelievable. It's pretty much the same muscle that you're using, and again, it goes back to if you're doing a 20-minute set, just keep the chuckles going. But an hour, you want to take people on, I hate saying the word fucking roller coaster, but you do want the whole gamut of emotions, and you want the ups and downs.
So when you talk about the philosophy or jokes as philosophy, is that the most important thing to you in the show? What, in terms of what drives you to do the show? Is it wrangling that philosophy that's the most important?
Yeah, philosophy is probably too highfalutin, but it is to get ideas across, and also you find out. I didn't realise till way into doing the show that I was really upset that society tells us how to behave, and we like sheep tend to do that, and that became quite a big part of the show, and that's kind of gives me such joy when that part of the show when I tell people it's okay not to do those things, and I love I just and it's not really ideas above my station, but I hope people go out of my show and then they have some new ideas, but not to even agree with, but just go, all right, I hadn't thought about that, and that's all I pretty much. Well, I think all good comedy does that, doesn't it? It's not just about laughing. You do go out going, all right, wow, that's a weird way of looking at things.
Yeah.
So I'm hoping. Otherwise, I've been doing it wrong for such a long time.
Great question. What happens to the old comedians, and how long will you go on?
They're all in that room waiting to be interviewed. I don't tend to look too far ahead. I think that would destroy every fabric of your being. But luckily, I say luckily, but I've always had myself down for maybe dying mid-60s. So, but it's a stressful life. So. And one of the saddest moments of touring the last 3 years was I did a gig in is it Tewkesbury where Eric Morecambe died.
I didn't know that.
Do you know that theatre? Is it the Rose? Yeah, and it's a very sweet theatre, but it's a tiny theatre, and and the thing is like you probably guessed, but every dressing room and every theatre is shit, and it's really depressing, and it's a horrible place to be, and because you obviously feel slight anxiety as well. And Eric Morecambe was one of my heroes, and just the fact that he didn't actually die there, he had a heart attack in the dressing room, and then was rushed to hospital, but died on the way. And I just went, oh God, he died in this. He practically, started his death in this room, and I found that so offensive that such a genius went in such a horrible circumstance like that. But my point is, like, comics do tend, because of the stress, not to live to. Bob Hope was just that weirdo who lived forever, but everyone else, like. So you want to start getting on with it, because you're dead in your mid-60s as well.
So when I said earlier on about there being a pervasive sadness or a bleakness to your work, and you went, no, there isn't, it's funny.
But absolutely, because I don't see that as a sadness. I take that on board, that I've accepted that'll be my fate. And I don't mind dying of my... I did pensions in earlier age for tax reasons, and I said I'd like them to come when I'm 50, please, because I was very much aware of that. I wasn't going to go, yeah, I'll take them out at 70. I'll be fucking way gone.
So are you concerned about... now, when did I read this? Stuart Lee quoted someone else saying, it might have been Harry Hill, about being asked what their ambition was, and they said their ambition was not to die alone in rented accommodation.
Well, yeah, that would be a big one, but I'm not frightened of dying, so like the circumstance doesn't matter. But as I say, I just found it sad that someone like Eric Morecambe went in a really in a provisional theatre, like provincial, not provisional. It's not like the IRA, provincial theatre. But yeah, like, but it's just that nonsense as well. I remember as a child watching Tommy Cooper die, in that show, and I knew, because like, when they were dragging him in, I said, even then I had comedy bones. I went, that's not part of the routine. He's not well there. And people saying, oh, Tommy Cooper, that's the way he would have liked to have gone. There's no fucking way. He wanted to die in the middle of a routine. If anything, he'd like to be with his friends and family around a bed, not like in a kind of been drugged into a horrible dressing room in the Palladium with Jimmy Tarver going, yeah, right. That's no way to go, is it? So that's the nonsense about, like, dying. That's how we'd like to die, making people laugh. That's terrible, terribly trite nonsense.
Thanks for watching. Remember, you can like this video, share it, or subscribe to it. And if you'd like to hear the full conversation, you can download the audio podcast from comedianscomedian.com. Thanks a lot.